All right.
All right.
What is up, Henry?
Nothing much, Strat. What's up with you?
I'm just super excited because this is my first podcast with a guest on, being you.
Let's go.
Henry is one of my best friends. I find him very nice and a very intelligent person, so I think we can have some interesting conversations.
Thank you for having me on, Strat.
Of course. So, first I thought we'd talk about something simple. We're both doing a sleep challenge where we got to stay up we got to wake up at 8 a.m. every day. Very exciting. Do it for 90 days. And each day we feel we have to pay $10. So it's been about, 6 days?
Been about 6 days now.
I wanted to know how you're doing.
I'm doing all right. I had to use one of our freebies a few days ago because I was just not feeling it in the morning. Even now, today, I just stayed an hour in bed, trying to fight off
Really?
the urge to go back to sleep.
Damn.
Yeah. I was about to be should I just take the L on this one?
By what time in the day do you start to finally feel awake?
After I get out of bed, so that would probably be around 9-ish.
Do you think if you got out of bed right at 8, you would stop feeling tired?
Maybe. I need to muster up the energy to do it first, though.
Dude, I remember when we did the challenge back in December, every time I woke up, I would stay in bed for a good 2 hours, watching YouTube, trying to just stay awake. I remember watching this. Do you know Voice Critical?
Yeah.
I remember watching. Yeah, he had this hour-long video where it's them trying to hold this massive dildo, who could do it for the longest. And I remember just watching that almost falling asleep multiple times. It was such a fever dream, bro.
Did your eyes do the thing where they just kind of flutter a little
bit?
Yeah.
Bro, that's how I was the first 3 days of this challenge. It was rough. I used a freebie on accident, bro.
An accident?
Yeah, because I just...
Did you just pass out?
I did, bro. But yeah, so do you feel like the sleep challenge is worth it so far?
So far, I need to utilize the early part of my day more for me to say it's worth it. But I guess once we get into it a bit more and start being more productive earlier in the day, then it'll start to be a bit more worth it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because it's not worth it if you're tired the whole day. You know what I mean?
That's right.
What was your sleep schedule before we started?
Before we started, I started going to sleep at 4, and waking up at 11:30, 12.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I was getting 7.5 hours. Now that I'm still getting about 7.5 hours, but I feel so much more tired compared to
Do you think it's because your body's used to being asleep at that time?
Yeah, I think so. That's probably part of it.
Because sometimes I get 9 hours and still feel like shit when I wake up.
Yeah, and 9 hours is the optimal amount of time.
Exactly.
At our age, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. You know me. I was sleeping at 10 a.m., waking up at 6 p.m.
You said you were worried about...
Yeah, I had work at 5 p.m. And I was fuck, that's so early. Dude, I've honestly, the first 3 or 4 days are pretty bad, but now I'm feeling really good. I've been waking up at 7 instead of 8 because that's just when I've been naturally waking up, which is weird because that's never happened to me before. But, yeah.
I find myself, I usually wake up an hour and a half before I actually wake up. I just use the restroom and then I go back to sleep. So I'm not sure if I'm losing any sleep or not.
When you wake up that hour and a half before, do you feel awake or do you feel groggy and shit?
I feel a bit groggy, yeah.
Because I watched something that said it was really counterintuitive. It was good advice to wake up feeling better was let's say you're trying to wake up at 8, maybe push it back to 6:30 because you might you'll be surprised apparently because maybe your body's just supposed to wake up earlier, or maybe you keep waking yourself up in the middle of your REM sleep, and that's supposed to fuck you up, I guess.
Yeah. So maybe I am constantly sleep deprived, but I don't know. Imagine if this is what I'm sleep deprived, I wonder how blissful it would be.
Dude, you're probably just fucking a god.
Oh my god.
Full
I've
sleep,
ascended to another plane after getting good to my sleep. But if that strategy you said about pushing it back to 6 o'clock, and then you wake up at 8, what happens when you get used to waking up at 8 again? Do you have to push it back again or what?
Yeah, see, that's why I was confused about it because I feel your optimal time to wake up. I think part of it's probably genes. I think people are more predisposed to staying up late. I always say this because I've always been a night owl and I hate it.
Yeah.
But I feel it's I feel like the genes aren't sent down to like the specific time you wake up. It's probably like more broad, like a range.
Yeah. And also like there's also like the age range that we have to consider too. Like you know how babies sleep like pretty much most of the day, but like teenagers sleep a lot later than like adults.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, like is there an evolutionary advantage to that or something?
Let's think. So if you're a teen, maybe it's less safe for old people to be like hunting and shit at night because their bodies are more frail, while teens have like stronger bodies. So if they stay up later, they can hunt while the older people sleep in, so that the older people can hunt more during daylight where it's safer for the.
That's an interesting theory.
Just off the dome, man.
Off the dome.
Maybe I'm an evolutionary.
Maybe you should switch majors.
Yeah, maybe I should switch majors. You in high school, you were very like disciplined with your sleep, right?
Yeah, I was.
Why was that?
I tried to be because so we were both in an a cappella group together.
Yeah, greeted
in high school. And one day we had, I think, this one concert. We stayed out. I was pretty exhausted by the end of it. Like I think I didn't have that much sleep beforehand. So by the time I came home around like 7 or something, I was just knocked out, dude. I skipped dinner. I just fell asleep, and then I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I was just like, this is so cool.
Really?
Like I woke up before the sun rose. I was just like, this house is empty. I can eat breakfast. I can do some homework before I go to school, and then like after that, I was like, this is a really cool feeling. So I want to keep trying to replicate that. So I went to sleep like 8.
Oh wait, it started with that?
Yeah.
You weren't just always like disciplined with your sleep?
Yeah. It started with that. I was like,
know.
this feels really cool. So I'm gonna keep doing it, and I kept doing it for like a long time. But after high school, after graduation, I was like, summer hit, and I was just like, I don't need to go to sleep early anymore. So I stayed up later. So I was just like 10, 11, 12.
Yeah,
and
it happens, bro.
It happens, right? It escalates. And then like 2 was my max for a long time. Eventually I broke through. It was like a wall I had to climb. Yeah. I broke through to 3 and then to 4. And then at one point I went up to 6.
Damn.
In the morning, yeah. And that's not even the worst my sleep's been. When I was a kid living in California, not Alaska.
I used to think he was from Alaska for like no reason.
Because you had me confused with another Asian kid, right?
Another Asian kid, exactly.
That's funny. Anyways, before that, when I was living in California, we lived in these like small apartments.
Yeah.
And I had an iPad, so I was that kind of kid, or I was like
kid.
I would stare at my iPad like all
okay.
the time, right?
Yeah.
And I had to like hide it from my grandma and shit because she was
that bad?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would sneak it in. Like I had a case on my iPad, and one time what happened was she took the iPad itself and like kept it in her room. I snuck into her room. I took my iPad out of its case, left the case there on like with the case facing outwards so she wouldn't tell. And then I went back, and then I stayed up till like 7 in the morning.
How old were you?
I was like elementary school, so like 5th grade. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Because me and my cousin always we tried to stay up all night, and we could never get past like 4.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know how you did that as a kid.
And then I would like stay asleep till like 2 o'clock.
Damn.
2 p.m. to like, so lunch was my breakfast basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That's kind of fucked as an elementary school kid.
Yeah, and then I don't know what happened after that, but I somehow managed to reset it. Like once I hit middle school, because like you wake up a lot earlier.
I'm still impressed that you were able to do the 5 a.m. thing, and like, was it effortless for a while?
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe it's just because we had school so early. Because like we had school started at like 7. Well, right?
Yeah.
So like waking up at 5 is only 2 hours earlier than you would have to wake up.
Yeah.
But still, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I just like that one concert, man, just rested me up in a way that I really liked.
We gotta go to more late concerts.
More late concerts. No, it wasn't late. It was just exhausting.
Oh, exhausting. Yes.
Yeah. But you know what I find really crazy? That there are some people that are completely fine with 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I've heard of that, dude.
Dude, that sounds so cool.
Dude, I'm like jealous, bro. Because if you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you only need 4.5 hours of sleep, that's like 4 extra hours you get in the day.
Yeah.
And then you add that up. That's like years.
Dude,
ahead
that's
of
so
people.
much more productive. Like, yeah, like think about it. if you have 24 hours in a day, right, and you sleep for, let's say, 8 hours, that's the average.
Yeah.
So that's a third of your day, right? But if you only sleep for, what is it, 4.5 hours, that's like,
That'd be like a sixth of your day.
it's sixth of your day, basically.
Oh, wow.
So, like, for most people, like, sleeping would be a third of their life, right? Meanwhile, these
It
people,
would only
they're
be a sixth
of their life. They're so much more productive, bro.
Bro, have you heard of those like sleep cycles they have where, like I think it's called the Uberman sleep cycle, where you sleep 20 minutes every 3 hours?
That sounds kind of crazy to me.
I heard you need like a specific, maybe it's that gene, like whatever gives you the 4 hours thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I heard you need specific DNA to make it work.
DNA. Maybe we should breed out the people.
Yeah,
that need
selective
8 hours.
breeding. I'm sure
Selective-
that's
Eugenics,
pretty
bro.
ethical.
I think they had a good idea.
Yeah, they
right
might have
there.
had something.
They might have had something. The
Speaking
people behind it were, I don't remember who they were. You know, they must have been pretty cool
the people behind eugenics.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
must have been
They might have
friendly.
been Nazis.
No way.
No, maybe
way.
not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Maybe, yeah. Like, there's no way the Nazis could think of such a cool idea.
Speaking of Nazis and history, nice segue.
Nice segue.
You were pretty good at high school. What do you say?
What the hell is that?
Because we learned history in high school. See, I got all the connections.
That's scary. I was like, you call me a Nazi?
No, Henry's definitely not a Nazi.
Yeah,
Probably not, right?
Probably not.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, what was your question?
You were pretty good at high school.
Yeah,
I would say at least.
I was pretty good. I'm good at school in general.
Why do you think you're so good at school?
I honestly don't know. It's like, might be the Asian culture,
Might
like,
be the Asian culture.
because you know, like Asian cultures put a lot of emphasis on education and stuff, but I didn't really feel that growing up. My parents were like pretty loose with my education. They're just like,
Interesting.
if you do well, then that's really good, right? Like, you know how some parents have to bribe their kids to be
Yeah.
like, if you get like an A on this test or something, or like a grade or something, then you get certain like rewards, like money, food, right? A trip to amusement park, whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
They didn't really bribe me with any of that. They also didn't try to punish me either, but that's because I guess they never had to punish me.
Wait, did you
because-
get benefits for getting good grades?
No, that's not really.
Wow.
Yeah, my brother did. My older brother did, but that's when I don't know. We were in a weird situation around that time. But after my older brother, like I didn't really get much. There might have been a time where I did get stuff, but it was so long ago that I don't really remember.
So would you say that you doing good at school is definitely more like an internal motivation?
Yeah, like I was just like, if I can do it, I might as well, right?
Yeah.
If I can get good grades, why shouldn't I? That would only help me in the long run.
Do you think
And-
it's worth it to get good grades?
Yeah, it makes a lot of things a lot easier, I guess, in your
Yeah.
prospects, right? You want to go to a good college, get a good career, you know, that would help. You don't need to go to college to get a good career, right? You can go
Yeah.
to like the blue collar jobs.
Start a podcast.
Start a podcast, yeah. Maybe
Hopefully.
be the next Joe Rogan experience.
we're trying.
We're trying. This is just the start.
This
right?
is just the start.
You know how like
Henry's
was
here.
it Apple or something? They
Yeah,
just, like, started
I'm basically
making, like-
Steve Jobs.
You're basically
creating
Steve
that.
Jobs.
Yeah.
And then what was I saying?
You were saying you don't need a degree to get a job or go to college,
don't need a degree.
but it helps.
But it does help.
Definitely
Like
helps.
it opens up more options, right?
Yeah.
But I do see the argument where people say like that's years of your life that you could be doing, focusing on something else that you truly enjoy, right, and working towards something.
Yeah.
But for me, like right now, I don't know what I want to do, so
Yeah.
getting a good degree would help open up a lot of prospects with that deliver a lot of money because I do like money.
That's kind of how I always viewed getting straight A's in high school. I always viewed it as just like a key to unlock opportunities. Because, like, I don't know, I just thought, like, my idea was I'll get really good grades in high school so I can get into a good college. And then once I'm in college, I won't focus on, like, grades as much and more just making sure I learn the material. But now I'm in college and I'm like,
The grades.
yeah, I'm thinking about like graduate school. So now I'm like, okay, I'll focus on grades in undergrad, and once I get to graduate school, not care about grades. So like, am I always just gonna be caring about grades?
Yeah,
Henry?
grades. I guess graduate school will be the last thing for grades.
I
right?
guess you're right? Yeah.
Yeah, because then once you get a job, I guess performance reviews will follow.
Fuck, Henry, don't say that. Damn.
Grades will always follow you, bro. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it would ever hurt to have good grades.
That's true.
You know.
Well, do you think in high school there were ever times where, because because I definitely think there were some times where I was more grade centric than learning centric, where I would just do what I have to do to get a good grade. So like for example, my math homework, we had one teacher who, like you could just show her, like she would just look at it real quick and check it off. You could just show her the same homework each day, and she would just check it off. So like I would do the problems, but like I would do them like if I couldn't solve it, I would just write shit down that looks like stuff so I could get the homework grade. And I felt like if I really focused on the homework more, I would have learned it more, and I still would have gotten good grades. But I think since at the time I was focusing too much on just like the grades without like the reasoning behind it, maybe that hindered me a bit.
Yeah, like I definitely agree that focusing on grades too much could hinder your ability to learn, right? I'm saying a lot.
Dude, don't even worry about it.
Ums and likes, bro.
Bro,
crazy.
I watched the first podcast I did by myself, and dude, there's like a 5-minute interval where I just hit like 100 times, I think, something like that. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But it just comes with practice, you know?
No.
Like.
You try to use filler words to let your brain catch up with what you want to say, right?
I heard like it looks, because in your head you think you have less time before it starts to look like awkward silence, but actually you have more time than you think.
Yeah.
So whenever you like in that situation where you got to say a filler word, if you just don't say anything, the audience would just kind of like be on the edge of their seat, like, oh, what's he gonna say, you know?
Yeah, and also like sometimes if you actually slow down your speech a lot more, it looks like you're deliberating a lot more. It makes you seem more in touch. I mean, that's what I've heard.
I think there's some truth to that. No cap.
Let's slow it down.
Slow it down. Let's get to a groovy
Anyways,
state.
what was I saying? Oh yeah,
Grades.
Grades, right? I think we should put a lot more emphasis on learning material itself, right? Because I never had trouble with having good grades. Like, you know, those kids that didn't need to study at all.
Yeah.
That
was
just
you?
that was me. Yeah.
Hey, my bad.
I never needed to, like I see people, you know, like a lot of our friends, right?
Yeah.
That don't try. They study like hours and hours.
I think I
on
know
end.
someone you might be talking about.
Yeah, I think we know many someones like that study hours and hours upon end, right? And they put in so much work, and they get the grade they want, but like only just, right? So if they didn't put in those hours of work, then they wouldn't have those good grades, right? But it gives them a lot more understanding of the material, right? It also gives them good work ethic.
Yeah, bro. Dude, work ethic, like...
Work ethic's crazy.
I feel like...
I have the worst work ethic because I never had to study for anything.
Dude, I feel that a little bit, like, from high school. I feel like I've learned it a lot more in college now, because you kind of have to study a lot more.
I still haven't gotten to that point, bro.
Damn.
I need...
Dude, take, like, a honors physics class, man. You'll be fucked in the head.
Yeah, but also that scares me because, you know, it's a drawback because you don't... For me, that I didn't need to study because I never learned to study. I never learned to put in the amount of work that other people do. So whenever I hit like a roadblock or something, then I'm just like, I can't do it. If I can't do it naturally, like first or second try, then like I'm done, right? So I fall back a lot. That's my major flaw, I think, with me.
Interesting.
That I give up on a lot of things really quickly if I can't advance very fast. Like people struggle. If people struggle through things and they work towards it and they defeat it, right? Then they understand that they can do something, like if they put in enough work, right? And I do believe that everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Like I believe that I can do that. It's just like naturally I just fall back a lot.
Do you think it's more just since you're not used to pushing through and doing the hard work, like you just have a tendency to not want to do it, or is it more if you don't get it fast enough, you think like, oh, I can't do this since I can't get it fast.
Second
like if I'm not going to be able to get it fast enough, like maybe I'm just not. It's not worth doing.
Yeah, second one for sure.
Interesting. That's how I feel in my physics class a lot. Because
Yeah.
there's these kids next to me that are just getting it super fast, and like I just will get it as fast as them. I eventually get it. Dude, he gives us take-home exams, so you have as much time to spend on it as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, if he gave us in-person exams that were like timed, like
You'd be-
one or two, I'd be so fucked. Dude. Like even if they were easier questions, I think it would just take me longer to figure it out than the average person.
There's also the psychological element too. Just fuck.
Yeah.
Time
Exactly.
pressure, and for like It's definitely the second one that you said earlier, where like if I don't get it fast enough, that's why I had a lot of hobbies. Like my sister knows a lot about this. She has kept track actually. When I was younger, I really wanted to be into astronomy, like studying the stars.
Was
and
that why you
stuff.
have a telescope?
That is why I have a telescope.
Eh,
Well, I recently got back into that, but I've also dropped it really fast.
yeah.
I had a lot of phases where I want to get into astronomy, art, philosophy, writing, stuff like that, right? And I got into one really fast. I was like, okay, I've put a lot of time into it, but then I was like, I'm not really progressing anywhere. I might as well move on, right? So I move on to another thing, and another thing. Like me and my sister called these like my phases.
Wow.
Okay.
How
So
long do these phases last?
these phases last like maybe a month or so.
Okay, okay.
So a good enough time to like get through a little bit of the beginner stage of like learning a subject, but like not advance any further. That's so I I've identified that about myself, and I really wanted to work on that. So that's why I want to get back into drawing. I was cleaning out my closet, and I found like my sketch pad from when I was in 7th grade, I think. I brought it out. I took a look through it. I was like, wow, these are actually pretty good. And my skills have like deteriorated because I just haven't been working on this. And then I thought to myself, if I kept working on this from that point till where I am now,
Would have been fire.
I would have been really cool, I think. A lot better than what I am now, at least. And I really wanted to strive for some kind of improvement. So, and then since I just recently identified that, like, I just give up really easily. I'm like, I want to work at something till I'm really good at it.
Yeah,
right?
dude. That's
So
really nice.
I really want to improve. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick with drawing, and I'm going to improve, because if I keep putting it off, right? If I keep pushing it away and say I'll just figure it out later, or like since I haven't invested the time in it, like I'm not going to get to a level where I'm happy within like a reasonable time frame, right? But those are just excuses, I feel, So I decided, you know what? That time that I'm going to put in will be starting now. So 5 years from now, I'll be at a lot better place than where I am right now, because I missed out on a lot of time. I got to make up for it,
So I think that's a great idea, and I've been trying to do the same thing. And one thing that I struggle with when trying to do that is, and let me know if this has happened to you, where I'll pick something and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna commit to this, and then like a few days later, like I start to get worried because I'll start getting interested in something else. I'm like, what if this isn't the thing I want to commit to right now? And then it's like I spend all this time working on this where I actually would have liked doing this better, and now I could have been spending time getting good at that. How have you felt that, and how do you like get around that?
I have felt that a lot, actually, with like before the drawing thing, I was like getting into trying to write and stuff. But when I saw the I wanted to get back into drawing and stuff, I was like, I looked back at my writing, and I was wondering if I really should move back onto drawing, or if I should maybe develop these two at the same time or something. I don't know. I guess I just made a decision. I just said, you know what? I want to have a skill that I can make market improvements on.
Gotcha.
Like see a clear line that I was improving, because with art you can kind of see, right, whether or not someone's improving or not. Like you see all those montages online of like artists when it's like 5 years old to 10 years old to 15, whereas in writing is a little bit more nebulous to look at to
That makes
see
sense.
writing improvement, right? You have to go through blocks of text to see whether or not, well, like use of grammar here is a lot better, and like commas, apostrophes, whoa, that's crazy.
Well, also, like, I feel like, I mean, they're both subjective, right? They're both arts, but I feel like writing's a bit more subjective, where it's like I feel like, or I kind of agree. It's kind of easier to see how much better you are getting with art, because like, let's say you're drawing a circle, for example, like you can see how much better the circle gets over time, where with the writing, it's like, maybe like you were doing some style when you were younger, and then you changed up when you were older, and some people might find the younger style better, but like that doesn't mean you necessarily became a worse writer. It's just, you know what I mean?
It's also a lot of technical aspect of drawing too, like your technical skill, right? Whereas I feel like in writing, there's definitely technical skills with it, like your use of, I guess, devices or whatever, but not as technical as art, right? Probably some people will find like some way to argue for both sides.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, I feel.
Yeah, you in that moment, you just felt like art would be easier to see progress in.
Yeah, definitely.
So are there any moments then, because you've been practicing drawing for what, like a month now at least?
Yeah,
Around
about
that? So you're getting to that point where
Yeah.
you might want to start switching. Are you
Yeah,
feeling any tension right now?
I've spent too much money to
Dude, that's honestly,
quit.
you know me, like putting external pressures on you to continue something are such a good way.
Yeah,
like,
like
continue
I've
something.
invested a lot into it now.
Yeah.
That I feel like if I bail out right now, that would be a waste.
That's what I did with this podcast. I bought like $80 worth of mics and webcams. So I'm like, okay, now if I don't do it, it's like, what am I going to do?
It's a waste, right?
Yeah,
It's a waste.
exactly.
Yeah, so I bought a digital drawing pad. That's a graphic digital
nice.
drawing pad. So I've hooked it up to my Mac and stuff. I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking learn how to draw.
Right.
So yeah.
What are you drawing right now? Like learning to draw, and then what are like possible end goals for what you would like to be able to draw?
So what I found is that I want to start at the basic fundamentals that everyone should know in order to advance as an artist, right? Like at first, I was trying to draw a face, and then I was like, why aren't my faces improved? Like I felt my faces definitely improved, but like they were not at a level where I was happy with them. And I know it's only been like a few weeks, but even still, I was just like, how can I streamline my learning process compared to when I was younger? That's the way I can
Streamline, like making it faster?
Yeah, make it more efficient, learning the more useful techniques so I can like catch up to where I would be if I kept practicing from back then. So I found that, there are fundamentals to good drawing. So learning how to like utilize a pencil correctly, learning how to use your grip. Like there's the way that we use a pencil normally, it's called the tripod grip, where you hold it between like 3 fingers. Right?
Okay.
Some people might write weird.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
can't
the
like
standard
tell
grip.
how I write without a pencil. Yeah, that's weird.
It's a standard grip.
All right, tripod grip.
Tripod grip. That uses a lot of wrist motion, right? So it's good for you making fine adjustments on paper.
Yeah.
But for broad strokes and stuff, like a big circle, you're not going to be able to use your wrist to draw a whole circle like really well. You can, at best, an oval.
Okay.
That's the size of your wrist. So that's why you use your elbow and your shoulder.
Whoa, so this
grip.
is like getting into like physical
Yeah,
parts
exactly.
of drawing too, not just
So,
okay.
but for like bigger gestural drawings, right, you want to switch it to like an overhand grip where you hold it between like your fingers and your palm.
Like that?
Kind of, yeah, basically. It's like overhand. If I had a pencil, I could show you, like that chapstick. Could
You wanna
show
try
me
it?
the
Yeah.
chapstick? Yeah.
Try with the
So
chapstick.
this is standard tripod grip, right?
Okay.
But this is the overhand grip where you hold it like that.
Can I try it?
Yeah. So
Like that?
yeah, so you put you face it down on paper and then
Oh, I
use
see
your-
how you could use your elbow a lot.
Yeah, you use
easier.
your elbow and your shoulder a lot more. It gives you a
Wow.
lot wider range of motion.
So do you got to do like arm exercises?
Oh
to,
yeah, like you gotta hit the gym. to be
Yeah,
an
that's what I
artist
think.
for
But just
sure.
the one arm.
Just the one.
Well, there's other things you can do with that.
Yeah, like, you can switch on and off with other activities.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Like I definitely.
Oh yeah, no, same.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so circles.
Yeah, circles. So that's the fundamentals I was getting to. I was like, I want to break down my drawing.
Damn, so
process.
you're getting to like the basics.
basic.
But that's good. It's like fundamental. What is it, first principles?
First principles, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this is the stuff that you can't practice enough, right? So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then like once I started feeling a bit more comfortable with that, I started drawing basic shapes. Circles. If you use just a tripod grip, they're very hard because like, how would you normally draw a circle? You'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you go around like kind of hoping that it lines up pretty well.
No, I agree. That shit's
But
hard.
I took this course on Skillshare by this guy called Brent Evanston. Really cool. I'm really enjoying it. He's a very good teacher. And he says to, you know, like kind of make the shape before you touch it and like do it in momentum. So once you actually put it down, it's a lot easier because you kind of see it. Yeah, you kind of see it.
Yeah.
Before you put it on the page, and it's a lot easier to make circles that way with the overhand grip, especially because you can use a wider range of motion to make it smoother.
Gotcha.
It's really cool.
Does this stuff extend to like triangles and squares and stuff, or is it more just curves?
For that, it kind of applies for all shapes where you want to make if you're doing a curve, you want to like trace it out before, and if you're doing a straight line, you want to trace it out before, kind of like that. So, and then once you see it on the page, it's a lot easier to visualize if you kind of mime out what you want to do. So after that, after I got more comfortable with that, I moved on to basic volumes.
Volumes?
So like three-dimensional objects in space.
Gotcha.
So cylinders, cubes,
I love
and
cubes.
spheres. So I've just been practicing those for the past like week or so.
Really?
I actually bought a sketch pad, a new one, and then I've been drawing a lot of shapes on one page. I've been tracking down how much of each shape I've drawn
Really?
every day. Yeah.
So then I have a question which applies to this, because a lot of I look at advice online on how to learn physics and math, right? And they're like, a lot of times you just got to go through the monotonous practice of doing problems, even though they like get boring after a while because you kind of know how to do them, but like you make mistakes every once in a while, and like you're not really learning anything new. You're just practicing the skill.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that with having to like draw a cube over and over again?
Some days I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing?
At what point do you feel like you're able to move on? Is it when you draw the perfect cube, or do you just have to draw a certain amount of cubes to
if
feel
I
good?
can draw a good volume without it looking like a fluke.
A fluke.
A fluke. That means I can replicate it consistently.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can replicate it consistently, so with the basic volumes, a lot of what helps to construct it is using like axis lines, so symmetry lines. So I construct the oval for a cylinder. I construct an oval first, and then I draw a line of symmetry through the oval till I can see where things land, right? And then after that, I draw another line of symmetry for the bottom oval so I can see where I put it. And then after that, I draw the two sides to close the two ovals together to make the cylinder. And I've been trying to wean myself off of using constructing lines because I can be able to.
So what are they, like
make
training wheels, kind of?
Kind of, yeah. You can always use them, right? But it does make the process a little bit slower. And I want to be a bit more efficient when I draw it, so I don't necessarily need to use it. It's more like to help you visualize where you want to put your shit.
So right now you're drawing like pretty simple shapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say in the future you wanted to draw like a dragon or something.
Mm-hmm.
Does drawing these shapes help more just in learning like the motion and technique of drawing, or like will actually being able to draw the shape help drawing more complex stuff?
Both, actually, yeah. So,
Okay.
according to the course, at least, but also I can understand the reasoning behind it, is that every single object that you see in space can be reduced down to these three basic volumes, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Squares, cylinders, and spheres?
Yes.
Or cubes, my bad.
Or boxes, whatever, because you
Boxes.
can use prisms, right? So
Okay.
boxes, cylinders, and spheres, like you have to just make fine adjustments to like the overall shape and stuff, and also combining them and stuff will help you create certain things. Like this frame behind you, you can reduce it down to a box, right? A very thin and tall box.
Yeah.
And then like couches and stuff, you can like kind of you can see it's comprised of a couple cylinders, a couple boxes, and stuff like that.
Have you seen those like wooden doll things of like humans?
Yeah, the mannequins.
Are those like
Yeah.
humans reduced down to those shapes, kind of?
Kind of, yeah, basically.
Whoa.
Like they're obviously modified a bit, but yeah, sort of the same principle. So it helps you with the motion and stuff and the principles, see how you do it, and then also you can construct more complex shapes out of those things to make it look more than just a cylinder and a box and a sphere.
So like, let's say you were trying to draw a dragon. I don't know why I'm thinking dragon, just the first thing that popped into head. But like, would you draw like an outline maybe of like it into these basic shapes, and then after doing that you can add all the details?
Probably, yeah. I haven't gotten to that stage yet, so there's probably gonna be some minutia or some other like techniques to do it. But from what I'm seeing, that sounds about the basic process. You know, we want to break it into biggest basic shapes first, and then fine tune it down. Like the analogy they use a lot in the course was you have like you're kind of like a sculptor. You have a big block of marble, and you're slowly whittling it down. So you want to start with the basic shit first, like the basic kind of shape for it, and then you start doing like the minor details.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of related to drawing, but so like drawing is kind of like this artistic endeavor you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your major is very STEM based. It's like computer science, computer engineering, and we've talked about this a lot. But because I felt this like kind of internal struggle with like pursuing like STEM career or like pursuing type of arts, because like I was really interested in film at one point.
Film. Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess just how do you like figure out what you want to do? Very big questions. Maybe you could give advice, even though I'm sure you're still a bit lost, like we all are. How do you, like, what are your plans for like pursuing drawing while also pursuing your major? And like, would you ever want drawing to, like, if you got good enough to and you can make money, like that be your career? Like, how do you see things as of now?
For now, my plan is to get my degree in the STEM thing, so computer engineering, computer
STEM
science.
thing.
STEM thing is what
No, this is big shit, man. Computer science and computer engineering. That sounds.
Yeah,
Both,
because
yeah.
I've always been good at STEM shit, so I was just like, might as well, and also it makes good money. And
Yeah.
I like money, so
Money's great, bro. You could buy more drawing pads.
I can buy more drawing pads. Exactly. I'm good at it, so I want to get something that I like to take the easy road, but.
Sorry, I just funny that computer science and computer engineering is the easy road.
Yeah.
Damn, look at
So
you.
it makes me sound arrogant, but
No, bro. I get it though, because I picture it as an easy road in the sense like it's a very secure degree to get.
Yeah, it is
you
very
know?
secure.
So you don't have to stress.
Like, there's
as
not
much.
you're not gonna run out of computer engineers.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna run out of space for those guys. You always need them. So I want to get into that so that it's an easy, secure job for me once I get my degree. But and right now, drawing is just a hobby for me. So I still want to focus on my STEM stuff. But if I do get good enough, I would like to see if I can maybe make some money on the side for that, like, freelance a bit, I guess.
Gotcha.
And if it gets like really lucrative, then maybe I might switch over in case being a computer engineer or whatever is like too boring. Or something, like life training or something.
Yeah, and I feel like no matter what, it's good to, like, as long as you like the degree you're getting at least a little bit, like it's interesting. I feel like it's a good thing to just have in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm qualified to do a bunch of shit if I do get those.
Because a lot of people give the advice like you got to find your passion and just go full on with that passion. So let's say like you really like drawing, which you do, but let's say like you really wanted to just be great at drawing, and you heard the advice like, if you're doing anything else on the side, like if you're not fully committed, you're never gonna make it, right? Mm-hmm. Which like might be true in some sense. Like I'm sure because the people that put more time into something just get more out of it. But at the same time, I don't know, because I feel like I would always get stressed that like if I'm not super passionate enough in this one thing where I could just do this and be happy, then like I'm not gonna be successful. Yeah. And I feel like for some people it's just better to have multiple things that they're maybe doing on the side and just see like what opportunities arise from them and then go down that route later on.
Yeah, like I think we're on the side where it's like we want to have multiple things that we're good at, and then we also have our friend. Can we say her name?
Oh, Brianna.
Yeah, we can say her name.
Brianna.
We also got Brianna, who did drop everything else to focus just on her career.
And like that's also like that's very admiring because like she is enjoying that, right? She's like fully into it. She doesn't seem unsure about it when we talk to her, right?
She's fully into it.
So I think in that case it's a good idea, and she's really good at it. Mm-hmm. So like it's like she's already made some money off of it,
She put a lot of investment of time and money into it. She's going all in, right? And she's getting a lot of dividends out of it. She's got a YouTube channel. She's making money off of it. It is really profitable for her. And just, I don't know, for me, if I feel like I have doubt, then I can't do it.
Yeah. And I think there's a benefit to having multiple things at least. Because, for example, let's say I just wanted to be a physicist, right? I mean, I think I'm decently smart, but I don't think I'm smart enough to make like the huge contributions that like some of these like very famous guys make. Like shit like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I was fully just into physics and like I kind of like put my internal value into being a good physicist, I might like it might be really hard because I'll always compare myself. Like I won't be as good as this physicist, right? Blah 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 blah. But when you have multiple things that you're doing, and like as long as you're getting like decently good at them and progressing, then you kind of slowly put yourself into a pool of people that has less and less people. So then like you just become more unique. Like instead of being like a great physicist, now I'll be a great physicist with a podcast. You know, or, like good at
a
rock
great
climbing.
podcast.
Yeah, great
Really-
podcast.
Really good at ping pong.
Really
too.
good at ping pong.
Dude,
Yeah.
that ping pong game was really cool.
Yeah, we did really good at ping pong yesterday. But
I really want to get into ping pong.
Dude, see, so I was gonna say something. So yeah. Basically, I just think having multiple things is a good thing.
Yeah, having a lot of talents to surprise people is also
Yeah.
a good way to get you a bit socially cool, I guess.
Yeah, socially. No, I do feel like sometimes, you know, it's like you should really only be doing things because, you know, you want to do them, not for anything else. But there are some things that I like doing that I'm also like, if I get good at this, I could really impress people, you know?
I would feel really cool if I could do it. Because, you know, when you find out, like, when you have your friend, right, you know is good at something, and then you find out they're super good at something else, too.
Yeah.
And, like, that's completely not related. You're just like, what the heck?
well, it's because you're breaking the box they put you in.
Exactly,
You know?
right?
Like maybe someone meets you. You know, you were always really academically good in school. They're like, oh, he's a nerd. He's just really good at school. And then all of a sudden, like you show them this drawing of like a magnificent dragon.
Dragon,
And
bro.
they're just like, what the fuck? He's artistic too? Okay, I gotta make this box a bit bigger because now there's more to it.
And then I'm also good at rock climbing.
Yeah, bro. Dude, I want to get so good at rock climbing.
Dude. Yeah, being good at academics and also, you know, the arts and then also physical activities. Bro, that's
Triple threat.
triple threat.
Triple
bro.
fucking threat.
Dude, girls gonna be all over.
Girls will be all. Oh, we sound like nerds.
They sound like nerds for sure.
Nothing wrong with nerds, by the way. I love
no.
nerds.
Nerd culture now, especially, is crazy. Like, remember back, we weren't alive back then, but, you know, all those movies, like, in the 1980s and, like, to the early 2000s, right? They're always about how they're trying to have the nerd get the girl, but he's the underdog, right?
Yeah.
Because he's, you know, lame, he's always getting bullied. Like Back to the Future, Marty McFly's dad, a science fiction writer, he was also a freaking nerd and getting like clowned on by Biff.
Yeah.
And then also like, what was it, The Goonies? I haven't seen The Goonies, but there's probably nerd characters.
There probably were, yeah.
But
I think I
the
remember.
early 2000s especially, 2000s to 2010-ish, is where there's like, you know, Geek Charming, right?
Bro, Geek Charming.
That's a
Dude, that's a
core memory.
That's back. That's back there. That was a good
Yeah.
movie.
So that's all the nerd shit, and they're always the underdog trying to get the girl. And nowadays it's kind of flipped, right? Because we've seen so much saturation of where the nerds are the good guys. Where now, of course, the nerds get the girls, right? If you're smart, you're gonna get the girl,
Yeah.
whatever. That's just how I feel about that.
Do you think that's why you did good in school? Because if that's why it didn't work, because our friends think because we were like very invested in getting good grades and shit, we didn't focus as much as
Yeah, they
other
thought that
people
we
on
were
relations.
asexual.
They thought we were asexual. And nothing wrong with being asexual, but you know, when you're not asexual and you're trying to get like a girlfriend, it's kind of hard when people think you're asexual. So now I'm like, what do I gotta fuck now? You know, do I gotta prove?
Dude, yeah, it's like I need to get laid now.
I need to
bro.
get laid.
just to shut them off.
Yeah.
For no other reason.
I was gonna say something.
Okay, so we're talking about high school. You were good at. Do you feel like you had a good high school experience?
I did. I feel like I did.
How so?
Definitely, it was a lot better toward the later years. Well, actually, a lot of things happened toward the later years, but my whole experience was pretty good. Actually, a lot of my high school experience that I remember was in choir. We were both in choir. I came from middle school. It was a different middle school.
The one in Alaska, right?
Yeah, the one in Alaska.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. I came from a different middle school than that most people were zoned for. So I came into high school with basically no friends. I had a fresh slate, and I was very nervous. So for the first couple of weeks, I was trying to like puff myself up, feel like the sociable guy, so I can make friends fast. But I don't think it was really working all too much. And then
How did you try? Real quick, how did you try I'm curious how middle school Henry tried puffing himself up.
Middle school Henry tried transitioning to freshman
Yes,
year.
yes,
So
yes.
early freshman year.
Early
Henry.
freshman year.
I tried being like really loud. Tried being really funny. I was like
okay.
making a lot of jokes. I'm
Were
not
they
sure.
landing?
What was that?
Were the jokes landing?
I'm not sure if they were landing. I was just. I think I got a couple laughs, but maybe they're pity laughs or something.
Okay.
So
Pity laughs are still laughs.
pity laughs are still laughs. The me that I was naive and young. I was eating it up. I was just like, I'm feeling so cool. Right now.
I like
But choir was really what I made like a lot of my friends. I think you were probably my first friend.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, when we went to honor choir together, and you were just like, you're in Miss Gold's. We were in Miss Goldstein's class, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah?
yeah, I am. And then we started hitting it off from there, and then I started talking to more and more people in choir. Like you were introducing me to some people, and then I started making friends on my own. And then I got.
Well, we struck the fucking gold mine
struck
meeting
the
each other, bro.
Yes, sir. We're the same fucking person.
Best friends to this day.
Best friends to this day. I freaking love you, Strad.
I love you too, man.
Yeah, after that, like, it was a kind of a snowball. I felt a lot more confident in myself in freshman year. Like, and then moving on to sophomore year, I made more friends, got more involved in the choir. I got into the highest level of the choir, the Madrigals choir, and that opened up a lot more opportunities for me to make friends, right? Because everyone in there was super close-knit. So once you're in there, like, you just start making friends, like, automatically. And then after that was when we started. So junior year was when we started getting into AP classes, right? And people in AP classes generally are pretty close because we're all struggling through a lot of the same subjects.
And it's
right?
usually the same people, right?
It's usually the same people, so you know each other a lot more. And so my social group kept expanding a lot more. And I had a lot of fun. And then toward the end of junior year, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that kind of put a halt on a lot of things, kind of cut us off really quick. Like I was in like 5 AP. We were in 5 AP classes together.
Yeah.
We had the exact same schedule junior year.
Dude, that was nice.
That was really nice. We walked everywhere together. It was super cool.
like that.
You know how most people say like if you have the same schedule with someone, you're gonna get sick of them eventually. I
Never
felt
happened.
that. Never happened. It was so
we're
cool.
we're just too good at communicating.
We're too good at communicating. We never really. I don't think we have any issues that we really get mad at each other.
Yeah, no,
about.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And after that, COVID hit. Couldn't cut us off a lot, but senior year was oddly enough the time where I hung out with people the most, even though we were online pretty much the whole year, because people were inviting me and like I could drive finally, and I just felt like I really wanted to hang out with people. So yeah,
So you're saying even though senior year was online, that's where you hung out the most?
basically, yeah. When everyone was most isolated, that's when I was like,
You were thriving.
I was thriving socially, bro.
Dude, I felt a similar thing, and I think it's because I read something like you should treat friendships the same way you treat work.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people like work, you'll like set schedules, you'll set to-do lists to what you got to do, you'll set goals, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And with friendships, a lot of it's more like, oh, I'll just let it happen, right? Because in high school, like you're around the same people all the time, so you're just bound to like eventually like become friends with someone by chance just by seeing them every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I read something where you should treat it like work, where like you got to actively set up times to like talk to your friends and make sure you're keeping up with them on like a decent amount of times, right? So because of that, I started, because I was always one of those people where I would make friends at school, and then if there were hangouts or something, like I would just wait till someone texted me, because I was like, I got nervous to like plan shit myself, right?
Yeah.
But senior year was when I was like, okay, I gotta start showing people that I want to hang out with them by inviting them to things and creating things too. So I try to do that more senior year.
Yeah.
So I also
need
kind
to
of
work on that a lot more.
it's scary, bro. Like
Scary.
the first time we went rock climbing, like you and Brianna are my closest friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I was like a slightly nervous. It's just like when you got like if you said no or something, like obviously it's fine, but like I don't know, just rejection in general, like it still like tinges a little bit,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I agree. The senior year, I also felt like I got better quality friendships. Because like all the people I hung out with school, but like didn't really hang out outside of school. Like sadly, I didn't get to hang out with them as much.
Yeah.
But like the people that I did hang out with school, I hung out with a lot more.
Yeah. You
So it's
deepened a lot.
They got a lot deeper. Yeah.
Our friendships developed a lot of depth afterwards.
Yeah, like I feel like we were always good friends, but I feel like senior year we started getting into more like deep conversations and
Yeah,
stuff,
for
and like
sure.
opening up more, and that was nice.
like after the choir award, we hung out with Steven.
Oh, yeah, that
and
was
then we
nice.
went out to go to hang under the stars, and that was, I think, one of our deepest conversations.
That was really nice, bro.
We were having such a good time. Steven had a blanket in the back.
Thank God.
Thank God, we laid out the blanket, and then we all laid on it.
Yeah, this started to sound hella weird, but
It
it was a good time. We just
it
laid
was basically a picnic. Really.
basically a picnic
Under the stars.
under the stars at night in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere.
We had our socks on. So
We had our socks on, so
yeah, it was
no one. Not that it'd be wrong.
None of you.
Not that it'd be wrong. I just don't want to be telling any weird stories. You know?
We're not asexual, but we're also
Yeah.
not homosexual.
Yes, exactly. But
Heterosexual.
heterosexual, exactly.
Hetero.
But there's something I wanted to say upon that, whatever that means. But yeah, that was a really good night. I think that's what I'm kind of hoping to get this out of the podcast. Like, I really like deeper conversations, and like that's kind of cliche. Like, I feel like most people like that. Like, I remember when I worked at Dutch Bros, and if you don't know, Dutch Bros is a coffee shop that's like really customer service oriented. So you got to talk to all your customers when they come by and like chat them up. And I would just like, it like killed me inside because those conversations were only like a minute or 2 minutes. So like you couldn't really talk about anything really interesting. It was always just, oh, what are you doing today? And it was very surface level stuff. Sometimes I got into some cool stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping with this podcast I could like find more people and just get better at conversations in general so it could carry over to my normal life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be really nice. But back to high school. So you felt like you had a good high school experience.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people said they didn't like high school. I'm just like, well, high school was pretty fun. I really liked it.
No, I felt like I enjoyed high school. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't too
I feel like you need to make something out of it to get something out of it.
I feel like being in choir definitely helped me.
Oh yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you then is, what would be like general advice for people that might be in high school? Maybe they're like in their freshman, sophomore year, just got out of COVID, and like maybe they're not enjoying high school. What advice would you give to maybe make the rest of their high school experience better?
I would say to not only take all the opportunities that come your way, because you know a lot of options pass you by, right? Some people say like, you want to hang out with us, and you're just like, sorry, I'm not really feeling it, or I don't know, I can't make it or something for some reason, right? But if I took in all those opportunities that did come toward my way, I feel like I would be a lot better place with a lot more people, you know, a lot better socially as well, but also to create opportunities for yourself, you know, trying to hang out with people a lot more on your own accord, trying to make your own opportunities, like trying to do projects on your own, take up new hobbies, stuff like that. Just try to have a good time, make friends.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've noticed you doing that a lot more, like in terms of taking opportunities, because I feel like whenever we have something like cool and to like do to hang out and like we tell you about it, like you always seem pretty down.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
really want to do shit.
It's always nice. Okay, well, we're about to get over an hour. I know you gotta go somewhere soon. I wanted to try something. Do you know who Lex Friedman is?
Who's that?
Lex Friedman is this podcaster I watch. He's one of my inspirations. And he does this thing where every guest he has on, he asks like these 2 questions at the end, which are always the same. So he always asks like, what advice would you give to young people? And he always asks, what's the meaning of life, right? So you always get these different perspectives on these questions, right? So I don't want to steal his questions, but I want to have like a question that I ask at the end of the podcast to kind of have a similar thing. So I'm testing some right now. This is the one I've thought of so far. But what is something that you've learned in your life that has impacted your life in a significant way?
Let me think. That's a good question.
Yes. You heard it here, guys. Henry said it's a good question.
What have I learned that's impacted my life? Oh, that the amount of time that we think that we have to live is actually not that long.
Interesting.
Like if you,
Go on.
I saw this one. It's like on the Cool Guides Reddit or subreddit, where it's just like it has this chart of how many weeks you have to live, and if you're 20, like you're like a decent chunk of the way through your life already.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, it kind of put things into perspective, like how little time we have.
Oh, so it's
you
like
know?
a thing that helps you visualize it.
Yeah, because it's like, this is how much time you've lived already, and this is how much time you have left. So like you saw it put on like how many weeks you have left. I was just like, dude, we have so many weeks, and then I saw it, and it was just like, not as many weeks as I thought there would be.
Interesting.
So I was just like, oh,
Do you feel
shit.
like that's made you like change?
A
at
little
all?
bit? Yeah, I would say like, I just want to get more out of my days. You know, trying to pick up more things. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting better at like making your days more worth it? The limited times you have left.
I would say that I've been trying to make it more worth it.
That's good. As long as we're on the upward trajectory.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be going down a bit, but as long as you zoom out
Yeah.
and the line's still going up on average.
I feel like the only obligation that we have as human beings is to become better than we were at the beginning of the day.
I like that. Well, I think that's an amazing place to end off.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
well, I really appreciate you being my first guest.
Of course.
I was like pretty nervous because I've never did a podcast with anyone, and like it felt very comfortable with you. It was very nice.
Very
you
nice.
gave some very interesting topics, and thanks for being on, Henry.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Strad.
All right.